The evolution of Chernobyl mutants over time. Haunting aerial views of the ghost town of Pripyat, empty streets, decaying buildings reclaimed by nature, and the overgrown amusement park with its iconic Ferris wheel standing still. The eerie silence is broken only by the crackling sound of a Geiger counter. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're stepping into a place frozen in time, a place where nature and radiation have been locked in a dance for over 3 decades. You've probably heard tales of this place. Maybe you've seen the HBO series or played video games set in its wastelands. But what's the real story? Have you ever wondered what happened to the plants and animals living in this radioactive zone after the disaster? Are there really mutated creatures roaming the forests, or is reality far more surprising? The Chernobyl disaster overview. First things first, let's set the scene with a bit of history. It's the early hours of April 26, 1986. The night shift at Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant is conducting a safety test. Due to a combination of design flaws and critical human errors, the reactor experiences a sudden and uncontrollable power surge. Moments later, 2 massive explosions tear through the facility. The reactor core is exposed, and a fire erupts, launching radioactive debris into the atmosphere. This was a catastrophic failure. The initial explosion killed 2 workers instantly, and dozens more succumbed to acute radiation sickness in the following days. In the immediate chaos, firefighters bravely battled the blaze without adequate protective gear. The nearby city of Pripyat, home to around 50,000 people, carried on with life as usual, unaware of the invisible danger. It wasn't until 36 hours later that evacuation orders were given. An exclusion zone spanning roughly 30 kilometers was established. This area was, and still is, highly contaminated with radioactive isotopes like iodine-131, cesium-137, and strontium-90. Understanding radiation and mutations. To get a grasp on what's happened since, let's chat about radiation and how it affects living things. Radiation is energy emitted from a source, and it travels through space. Ionizing radiation has enough energy to remove tightly bound electrons from atoms, creating ions. When ionizing radiation passes through living tissue, it can damage DNA and critical cellular components. Sometimes, the cell can repair itself, but other times, the damage is too severe, leading to mutations or cell death. The concept of mutations. Mutations are changes in the genetic code. Think of them as typos in your DNA instruction manual. Radiation increases the rate of mutations, which is why it's such a big deal when it comes to living organisms. Immediate environmental impact. Let's rewind to the days and weeks after the disaster. One of the first visible signs of radiation's impact was on a pine forest near the reactor. The trees absorbed such high levels of radiation that they turned a reddish-brown color and died, giving the area the name, the Red Forest. Wildlife decline. Animals living in the immediate vicinity didn't fare much better. Many died from acute radiation exposure. Birds dropped from the sky, small mammals perished, and the natural balance of the ecosystem was disrupted. Nature's unexpected resilience. Here's where things take an unexpected turn. With the evacuation of humans, the Chernobyl exclusion zone essentially became an unintended wildlife reserve. No more farming, hunting, or urban development. Over time, scientists noticed something surprising: wildlife was returning. Wolves, boars, deer, and elk began to roam freely. Even rare and endangered species, like the European lynx and the Przewalski horse, were spotted. Documented mutations in flora. In the years following the disaster, scientists observed various abnormalities in plant life. Some plants exhibited stunted growth and malformed leaves. There were reports of trees with double stems and twisted branches. Genetic studies found increased mutation rates in plants within the exclusion zone. Many plants showed remarkable adaptability. Over generations, they developed mechanisms to cope with the radiation, such as producing more antioxidants. Fauna and genetic changes. Now let's talk animals. Researchers observed mutations in butterflies, including wing deformities and color changes. In highly contaminated areas, insect populations were reduced. Birds in the area provided insights. Scientists found some birds developed physical abnormalities. Birds with higher levels of melanin seemed to fare better, possibly due to melanin scavenging free radicals. Mammalian adaptations. Small mammals like mice and voles showed increased mutation rates but also signs of adaptation. Some studies indicate their DNA repair mechanisms have improved. Microorganisms and fungi, the hidden players. Time to shine a light on the tiny, often overlooked players in this story. Scientists discovered fungi that thrive in high radiation environments. These radiotrophic fungi contain melanin and may use radiation as energy. Radiation has altered microbial communities in the soil, affecting decomposition rates and nutrient cycling. This impacts plant growth and overall ecosystem health. Evolutionary processes at work. Is radiation driving evolution in Chernobyl? Radiation-induced mutations introduce new genetic variations. Natural selection favors individuals that withstand the harsh conditions. Some birds produce more antioxidants to combat radiation. These traits are passed down, indicating an evolutionary response. Myths, misconceptions, and reality. Let's address some of the wild stories. Pop culture loves mutants, think giant spiders or massive wolves. But in reality, such dramatic mutations are extremely unlikely. Real versus imagined mutations. Most mutations are subtle and occur at the cellular or genetic level. They might affect an organism's ability to reproduce or survive but often don't result in drastic physical changes. Human impact and health studies. Now, let's talk about the human side. Those exposed to high levels of radiation suffered acute radiation syndrome. Long-term health effects include increased cancer risks. Children were especially vulnerable. Research into genetic effects on subsequent generations is ongoing. So far, there isn't conclusive evidence of widespread heritable mutations. The role of environmental factors. It's not all about radiation. Environmental factors like habitat loss and climate change play significant roles. The absence of humans has allowed ecosystems to recover. Over the years, the exclusion zone has transformed. Forests have expanded, wetlands have developed, and a variety of habitats have emerged. This diversity supports a wide range of species. Lessons learned and future implications. What does all this mean? Chernobyl offers a unique opportunity to study the effects of radiation over long periods. The insights gained could inform medical treatments and space mission preparations. The resurgence of wildlife raises questions about how we impact the environment. It suggests nature can be incredibly resilient if given the chance. Conclusion. Reflecting on the journey. From the immediate devastation following the Chernobyl disaster to the remarkable resilience and adaptability of life, the story of Chernobyl is cautionary and inspiring. It reminds us of the profound impact our actions have on the planet and the delicate balance of ecosystems. While technology can bring advancements, it carries significant risks. As we move forward, let's strive for a balance between progress and preservation. We each have a role to play in shaping the future of our planet. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the heart of Chernobyl's evolution. Credits and sources. A huge shout out to all the scientists, researchers, and organizations studying the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Their work helps us understand the past and prepares us for the future. Closing scene. A serene compilation of wildlife thriving amidst the remnants of human habitation. Wolves trotting through empty streets, birds nesting in rusted playgrounds, lush greenery overtaking abandoned buildings.